Hello students, in the present video session, I will be explaining data rate management strategies. One major problem in the case of TDM is uneven data rate. That means disparity in the data rate. But we assume that all input lines has the same data rates. But practically if you are thinking, it is not at all possible. So now the question comes, how we can maintain the uniformity in the data rate. So we have three different techniques or strategies by which we can maintain the uniform data rate across the input lines. So those are, the first one is multi-level multiplexing, second one is multiple slot allocation, and third one is pulse stuffing. Multi-level multiplexing. So here we can assume that the input data rates are like 20 kilobits per second, 20 kilobits per second, and rest 3 input data rates are 40 kilobits per second. But we have to maintain the uniform data rate across the input terminal of the MUX block. So what we can do is we can adopt multi-level multiplexing. That means more than one level of multiplexing can be considered in this process. So initially we can multiplex 20 kilobits per second and 20 kilobits per second, and we can have the output line of level 1 multiplexer as 40 kilobits per second. So now we can say that all the input data lines have the same or uniform data rates across the input terminal of this MUX. So here this is the data line or the input data rate of the first line is 40 kilobits per second, the second one is also 40 kilobits per second, third one is also 40, and so on. So that we can maintain the uniformity in the data rate across the input terminal of the multiplexer. So finally the output will get it as 160 kilobits per second. So this is the concept by which we can maintain or we can maintain the equality in the data rate, or else we can avoid the disparity in the input data rate, so that we can achieve the better performance with respect to the TDM concept. The second one is multi-slot allocation. So in the case of multi-slot allocation, as the name specifies, we can allot more than one slot in the frame. So basically we are having the data rates like 50 kilobits per second, 25 kilobits per second, and 25 kilobits per second, and 25 kilobits per second. So here we can observe that obviously there is a disparity in the data rate across the input terminal. So now what we can do is we can divide or we can split 50 kilobits per second into two different data rates, input data rates like 25 and 25. But what happens is, for this particular connection we have to maintain two slots within the frame. So suppose if we are having, so we are having 4 data lines. Here we can observe that we are having 4 data lines, but in the frame how many slots are allocated? So we have to allocate one extra slot, because here we are splitted the data rate into two different data rates like 25 and 25. So now we can see how we can draw the frame structure. So in the frame structure, so suppose if this is A, B, C and D. So while constructing the frame, so we have to consider two slots for A. So next one is third slot is for B, fourth slot is for C, and last slot is for D. So actually we have to maintain, or we have to have only 4 slots within the frame, but since we adopted multiple slot allocation, that means more than one slot is allocated for the single data rate. Since we expanded or we divided this 50 kilobits per second into 2 separate streams of data. So here we can observe that the input with the 50 kilohertz data rate has kilobits per second, has 2 slots in each frame. So the final output data rate is equal to 125 kilobits per second. So next one is pulse stuffing. So here we can observe that we are having 3 different data lines or input lines. So the first one is 50 kilobits per second, 50 kilobits per second, and third one is 47 kilobits per second. So these 2 data rates are equal, but here we are having only 46 kilobits per second. What we can do is we can add additional zeros in order to maintain, or in order to get 50 kilobits per second. So 46 kilobits per second plus we have to add around 4 kilobits per second in order to get the input data rate as 50 kilobits per second, so that we can achieve uniformity or parity across the input line. So the first channel, second and third channel, all the data rates will be equal to 50 kilobits per second now. So I can give the same inputs to the mux and final output will be equal to 150 kilobits per second. So these are the 3 different strategies by which we can maintain the parity in the data rate across the input terminal of the mux, so that the problem which was arise during in the case of TDM can be the major problem with respect to the TDM was uneven data rate. Even if you are assuming the input data rate has equal data rate, input lines has equal data rate, but practically it is not at all possible. So we can make use of these 3 different strategies by which we can maintain the parity in the data rate across the input terminal of the mux. Frame synchronization. The implementation of TDM is difficult while compared with the frequency division multiplexing. Why? Because synchronization is needed across the multiplexer and demultiplexer block. If there is no synchronization, what happens is the bit belongs to one channel will be received by the another channel. So therefore, we need to add one additional information along with the bit. So that additional information, it will be either 0 or 1, and that respective bit is called as synchronization bit, or else it is also called as framing bit. So suppose if you are having one single frame and the data will be A1, B1 and C1, for example. So suppose if this is the frame, I will be having 3 units of data. To the respective frame, we can add one additional information. So this information will be either 0 or 1. So, and this is called as synchronization bit or else framing bit. So this framing bit, it will avoid the bit belongs to one channel may be received by the another channel. So it is also called as framing bit, and which allows the demultiplexer to synchronize with the incoming bit stream so that it can separate the time slot accordingly. So usually we can consider alternate 0 and 1 as framing bit. So this concept is called as frame synchronization. Here we can assume that frame 1 synchronization bit is 1. So next one is 0. Next one is frame 3 will be 1 and so on. We have 4 sources, each creating 250 characters per second. If the interleaved unit is a character and 1 synchronization bit is added to each frame, find the data rate of each source, the duration of each character in each source, the frame rate, the duration of each frame, the number of bits in each frame, and the data rate of the link. So here first we have to compute the data rate of each source. So I can say that the data rate we can compute as data rate of each source. Here we are having 250 characters. In order to represent single character, we need 8 bits. So therefore, we can compute the data rate as 250 into 8. So that is equal to 2000 bits per second, or else 2 kilobits per second. So now each source sends 250 characters per second. Therefore, we know that each source can send 250 characters per second. So now we need to compute the duration of each character. So duration of each character. So we know that each source can send 250 characters per second. So duration of character will be 1 by 250, that is equal to 4 milliseconds. So each frame has, we know that each frame has 1 character from the source. We are having 4 different sources, and each frame, while constructing the frame, so we need to consider each character from 4 different sources. So I'll take A1, B1, C1 and D1. Along with that, we need to add additional synchronization bit. So each frame has 1 character from each source, and we need to add 1 additional bit. Either this bit will be either 1 or 0. So now therefore link needs to send 250 characters per second. 250 characters per second. So first we can compute duration of each frame. So link needs to send 250 frames per second. Link can send 250 frames per second. Therefore, first we can compute duration of each frame. Duration of each frame. So that is nothing but 1 by 250, that is equal to 4 millisecond itself. So now, as I mentioned before, each frame carries 4 characters and 1 extra character, 1 extra bit. Each frame carries 4 characters plus 1 extra bit, that is synchronization bit. So now, in order to represent a single character, we need 8 bits. We need 8 bits plus extra 1 bit. Therefore, I can say that each frame carries how many bits? Each frame carries 8 into 4, that is 32, plus 1 extra bit, that is equal to 33 bits. So now, therefore, link sends 250 frames. Link can send 250 frames. Each frame is of 33 bits. Each frame is of 33 bits. Therefore, data rate of the link. So what will be the data rate of the link? Data rate of the link, that is equal to, we know that we are having 250 characters, individual 250 characters, and each frame is of 33 bits. So that is equal to 8250 bits per second. So now, here we can clearly observe that the data rate of the link, is greater than combined bit rate of the channel. This is data rate of the link is 8250, it is greater than the combined data rate is 8000. So that is because of extra synchronization bit which is added for all the 250 frames. So therefore, here we will be having 250 extra bits across the link. Time division multiplexing can be implemented in the case of telephone companies through the digital signals. So these digital signals can be called as digital signal service, which can be called as digital signal service. In short, we can call it as DS service. So it can be also called as digital hierarchy. So it consisting of different stages like DS0, DS1, DS2, DS3 and DS4. So DS1, that is a single digital channel. DS0 is a single digital channel of 64 kilobits per second. Similarly, DS1 is a 1.544 megabits per second service, and we can also construct DS1 by considering 24 DS0. Similarly, the DS2 is a 6.312 megabits per second service, which can be constructed by considering 4 times DS1 or else 96 times DS0. Similarly, we can consider DS3, which is around 44.376 megabits per second service, and DS4, that is nothing but 274.176 megabits per second service. So DS3 is equal to 7 times DS2 and DS4 is equal to 6 times DS3. So we know that DS0 to DS4 are nothing but names of the services. So like digital signal service, digital signal service. So in order to implement DS0 to DS4, the telephone companies will use different lines, and those lines are called as T lines. So we are having from the digital signal lines from DS1 to DS4 can be considered as T1 to T4. So that means the digital signal service lines can be used in order to implement the T lines. So far only T1 and T3 lines are commercially available. So the given diagram or table shows the different services like DS1, DS2, DS3, DS4 with the T lines T1, T2, T3 and T4 along with the data rate and number of voice channels. For example, in the case of DS1 which can be implemented as T1, and the data rate will be equal to 1.544 megabits per second, which consisting of around 24 voice channels. T lines for analog transmission. Basically, the T lines were implemented in the telephone companies only if the data is digital data. So the data may be audio or video data, but it should be in the form of digital format. However, we can also use these T lines in order to represent the analog transmission. But the analog signals need to be sampled first, then we need to adopt time division multiplexing concept. So therefore, we can also use analog signals or analog data in order to implement the T lines. The diagram shows T lines for multiplexing telephone lines. So here we can observe that we are having 24 voice channels which is of around 64 kilobits per second, and we can compute the data rate as 24 into 64 kilobits per second. So here 64 kilobits per second plus we need to add the sampling rate, that is the each signals can be sampled at 8000 samples per second. So we need to add additional overhead as 8 kilobits per second. So total T line with a capacity of 1.544 megabits per second can be considered. The diagram shows T frame structure. In this case we are having total 24 channels. So we are having total 24 channels like channel 1 to channel 24. That means within the single frame we need to have total 24 slots. So therefore we can say that here, suppose if you want to compute the total number of bits present within a single frame, that means the number of bits within the single frame, that is equal to, if you are having 24 channels and each channel is having the capacity to transmit 8 bits, so that is 24 into 8, so that is equal to 92, and we know that for each channel we need to add additional bit, that is synchronization bit, so that is equal to 93 bits. So therefore each frame can carry around 93 bits including the synchronization bit. So now we can compute the data rate of the channel, that means data rate of T line. So that is equal to, we know that the T line carries 8000 frames per second. So that means we know that what is the number of bits present within the frame, that is 93. So 8000 into 93 bits. So that will be equal to 1.544 megabits per second. So that is the data rate of T1 line. Similar to E lines, we can also use E lines. Europeans use a version of T lines which can be called as E lines. So in the table it's clearly given that we are having different lines, E lines as E1, E2, E3, E4 with the data rate and the total number of channels are specified. So the two systems are almost identical, but their capacities, that may be the data rate between E line and T lines, are different. Synchronous TDM applications. Some second generation cellular telephone companies use synchronous TDM concepts. In the case of synchronous TDM, we reserve the slot in the output frame even if there is no data to send. So therefore we can say that which is inefficient technique in which we are just reserving the slot even if there is no data to send. So one more technique was implemented which is called as statistical time division multiplexing. In the case of statistical time division multiplexing, the slots are dynamically allotted in order to improve the bandwidth. So that means the slots can be allotted only if there is a valid data to send. So while allotting the slots in the output frame, we have to check whether there is a valid data to send. So then only slots can be allotted in the output frame. In the case of statistical multiplexing, the number of slots in the frame which will be always less than the number of input lines. Why? Because suppose one respective input line, if it does not have any data to send, in such instant the slots will not be allotted in the output frame. In the case of statistical multiplexing concept, there is no fixed relationship between input and output because there is no reserved slot or no pre-assigned slots. Therefore, we need to add some additional informations along with the frame. So that means we need to include sender and receiver address inside each slot. For example, if you are considering n is equal to, small n is equal to number of bits, n is equal to number of bits, and capital N is equal to number of output lines, Therefore, we can compute the total number of bits present in the address. So that is equal to n equal to log 2 to the base 2 of n. For example, if you are having 8 output lines, so then we can compute the total number of bits present within the address as n is equal to log 2 to the base 2 of 8. So therefore n is equal to 2 power n is equal to 3. So log 2 to the base 2 of 8, therefore n is equal to 3. So the diagram shows synchronous and statistical TDM concept. Here we are having different lines like line A to line E. In the case of synchronous TDM, we can observe that there is a empty slot in each frame and we added the synchronization bit or frame bit. So here A1, B1, here C1 is empty, but we allotted the slot over here D1 and E1 is also empty. So here we are having 2 empty slots in the within frame 1. Similarly, frame 2, that is A2 which is empty, B2, C2 is also empty, D2 and E2. So here we can clearly observe that obviously it will cause the efficiency in the bandwidth. That means because of empty slot we need to have the larger bandwidth in order to carry the data. But in the case of statistical TDM, here A1, B1, C1, we are not allotted the slot within the frame, and D1, E1, E1 is also not there. So instead of that, we can add the additional informations A, B and D. So that is, line A has data to send, line B has data to send, and line D has data to send. So we need to include the sender and receiver address or additional informations inside each slot. So this is how we can improve the efficiency in the case of statistical TDM. So in the case of statistical TDM, only if there is a valid data to send, then only the slots can be allotted within the output frame. So in the case of statistical TDM, the frame carries both the address as well as data. So now if the size of the address, if it is more than the actual data size, for example, if you want to send one bit of information, but the address size is around 4 bits. So this means that there will be overhead of around 300%. Suppose if you are having single bit of data and we need 3 bits in order to represent the address. So I can say, clearly we can say that which is meaningless. So in the case of statistical TDM, usually we need to carry the block of data. Instead of bits of data, we need to carry blocks of data. So obviously blocks of data consisting of many bytes, and the address will be in terms of few bytes. So block of data plus address, so it will be in terms of few bytes, so that we can achieve better efficiency. The frames in the case of statistical TDM need not be synchronized, therefore we are not using any synchronization bits. In the case of statistical TDM, the capacity of the link is less than sum of the capacities of each link. So TDM defines the capacity of the link based on the statistics of the load for each channel. So if on average only X% of the input slots are filled, the capacity of the link, it will obviously reflects the capacity of the link. In some cases, that means during peak time, some slots need to wait. For any queries, please mail me at sadhana.b@canaraengineering.in. Thank you.